we've done a lot of searching online and done a search on YouTube, and this was something Richard came up with and absolutely couldn't believe that this wasn't already done in a video on YouTube. Basically, delete for the LS water pumps. So basically, when you see all these people who aren't running a heater core on their LS engine or LS powered vehicles or LS swapped vehicles, and they got this ugly, god awful heater hose that's just hooped or looped from the inlet to the outlet on the front of the engine, it looks horrendous. When all you have to do is, see if you guys can see this, this is one of those little outlets. This part here is what's pressed up in the body of the water pump. So basically what Richard does, let me come around here, what he'll do is he will cut these nipples off of the LS water pump. Keep in mind, this part is up inside the housing. So he's gonna chop all both of them off, then use a tool that he created to come in behind here and basically pull these out of this housing. So then once you get it pulled out, you can go to Harbor Freight for $15 or less, buy a tap set and do a 3/8 NPT, 1/2 inch NPT, tap this out, and then you can just use regular old flat pipe plugs with thread sealer to do a very clean heater hose delete on your LS. Okay, getting ready to pull out the nubs that are left in the water pump after he used the horizontal bandsaw to cut off the nipple. So he's got a piece of all thread with various size nuts and washers to basically grab it from the inside and pull it out. You gonna be able to hold it, or you need help holding it?
You might want to hold it.
Hold on, try not to kick the tripod. I just need a ratchet and wrench.
Yep.
Or does it get too strong to, you're afraid it'll break one of them ratchet and wrenches? No, I am not a Raiders fan.
He's wearing a shirt.
This is actually a parent shirt from when my son played flag football in kindergarten.
Don't let him lie to you.
Nope, I'm a Chiefs fan. I wear this shirt when I don't mind getting dirty because I don't care if it gets dirty. It's a piece of junk Raider shirt. Apologize, Raider fans. Seems like it's getting easier. Might be able to roll it around. That might be out. Boom. Look at that. Piece of all thread and some washers. You can't believe it. One down.
Pulled out nicely too.
Yeah, it
no
did.
scoring, no nothing. Key is to have the right size washer.
Yeah, right? Because it'll dig into that aluminum if it ain't the right size.
You don't use the washer on the second one. It goes on the back side this time. I could probably use a smaller socket here because sometimes it tries to lip over.
Oh.
But we'll see how this.
See how that one acts.
We'll see how this one goes. The nut is just the right size, so it hits the edge of the.
We'll actually grab this thing.
Mm-hmm. I'm messing up already.
Okay,
put that on there.
got it. Just looking for another socket. What made you come up with this idea?
I didn't. Well, the hot sides on the Typhoon was
Right in the way of these things.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a bonus for you guys doing turbos. If you're pulling your hot side over right in front of your, going underneath your pulley on the front of the engine and coming up by the frame, you can get extra clearance for your crossover pipe by eliminating these
Now, it could
outlets.
be mainly due to the Typhoon because the Typhoon has that cutout for it, so on other vehicles it might not be
Might
an issue.
not be an issue, yeah.
But it's ugly.
Yeah.
Like those hoses, it's a pet peeve.
Anytime you have a hose doing this number, eventually it's gonna leak. It's gonna bust. I guarantee it.
By far the hardest part is fingering the nut.
Yeah. I can tell you right now, I had just a rubber hose with a lug nut plugging off a water outlet on my old Pontiac 400 in my Ventura. When do you think that thing decided to break?
At the racetrack.
Oh no, taking my father-in-law for a test hit down in Butler, Missouri, and I thought I blew my transmission because we hit the third gear full throttle and all I saw was smoke out of the back of the car. We limped it back home. No one had it was a Sunday afternoon. Nobody was open because of course there's not a whole lot open in Butler, Missouri.
On a Sunday.
Yeah, on Sunday. So basically, it ended up being just rigged up so I could drive it back to. At that time, we lived in Grandview, Missouri. I felt like an idiot, and he felt bad because he felt like it was his fault for wanting to go for a ride. And I was like, it's not your fault. If it's gonna break, it's gonna break. That was in my 1360 range. That was when I very first got that car running. Boom. Just that easy. Didn't even hurt it. Now, you know, the process from here is just taking your little $15 Harbor Freight tap set and carefully putting some threads into that housing. And then, you know, putting some decent thread sealer on your pipe plugs and plugging that crap off, and you're done with it.
See if I can...
Richard wanted me to mention that divider plate or whatever, divider portion of the casting inside of the water pump is sealed off. The two sides are sealed off by your actual thermostat. So I don't know any reason why you would want to run without a thermostat, but I don't think it would actually hurt anything because of that being plugged off. It just basically it would bypass that whole part of the water pump. But he wanted me to mention that the thermostat actually plugs that off, and the water will just flow through the thermostat once it opens. There's no restriction, there's no heating concern or nothing like that. So.
Lube your tap.
Lube your tap. Put some lube on your tap.
It's like perfect size.
You're doing it with a wrench or a tap handle or?
I don't have a tap handle, so.
You gotta do it anyway. Try to get it started before you. Get it straight. Don't pull a. Well, no, I won't say that because then people get butthurt.
Aluminum cuts really easy, so.
Now, if we can just figure out how to remove that upper outlet out of that water pump, it is something that we're interested in. So, if you guys have any experience whatsoever in how to safely remove that upper radiator hose outlet out of these LS water pumps, please put it in the comments. If you have a video on that process, link it. We'd be more than happy to give you some views and give you a shout out, because we have tried previously on my Blazer to pull that thing out, and it wasn't all that happy about that idea because it never did come out, even with heat. But it has been brought up to us that perhaps we were heating it in the wrong spot, and we could have actually made it tighter by heating the aluminum instead of the pipes. Or was it the other way around? We were supposed to heat the aluminum and don't heat the pipe, or something to that effect. But that makes a huge headache when you're doing your upper radiator hose routing is having that thing shooting up in the air like that. So if you have any suggestions or know anybody that has a cool little secret technique on pulling that stupid upper outlet out, let us know in the comments, because that's, you know, pain in the neck.
I didn't cut the threads all the way down, but they get the gist of it.
Okay. So that's the 1/2 inch NPT, which is what, do you remember? 1/2 inch 18 or something like that?
It is a 1/2 inch 14.
1/2 inch 14 tack is what matches those just regular old pipe plugs. He's just giving you a representation of the, you know, putting those in there. He'll end up going back through it when we're not trying to make a video and cleaning those threads up further into the water pump, probably when we can put it in a vise and hold it a little bit more steady. Because you can see on the water pump on the left, the plugs are almost flush with the housing when you get the threads all cut in there like you want them. So, but as everyone knows, if you ever try to make a video, you only got a certain amount of time to play with it, and you don't want to spend all day wasting time. I think that's the one that's probably going to go on. This is probably the water pump that's going to go on the Tycoon right here.
Yeah, I'd say. If I can cut this straight. If I can cut it straight.
It's just a process. Aluminum's pretty forgiving. Just make sure you get it as straight as you can before you get too far into the bore. Don't forget, we need to add that steam hole at the top of the water pump, or wherever you're wanting to hook that up. I don't think we made a video about that on my Blazer. If we did, I must have not have uploaded it. It worked perfect. I had to do it twice because the first time that water pump that came on that engine, as soon as I put coolant in it, it started running out on the floor. So that was a blessing. So basically, that engine in the stupid Blazer, I ended up having to put intake gaskets on it, new water pump, one new ignition coil, or one new coil. What else did it need? Seemed like there was some, a knock sensor. It needed at least one knock sensor. But other than that, it's been a heck of a motor for $400. That's something else somebody had asked me recently on my channel was, in our area, how much do we pay for like a 4.8 or a 5.3 engine?
You can find them for about $500.
I said really between $250 and $800, somewhere in that range, depending on whether it's a 4.8 or a 5.3 and how many miles it has.
I lucked out on the motor that's going in the Typhoon. Had a flat cam, picked it up at a salvage yard in their core building for $100.
100. See that you used to be able to buy them for that cheap anywhere, but
I can still probably get them, but the only reason I jumped on that one is because it was the
Gen 4 internals. Yeah, you gotta have those.
I had that indicator of the valley pan bolts and the exhaust manifold bolts, and
he's talking about when you look at your valley pan or your valley plate under your intake and your exhaust manifold bolts, if they're 13 millimeter instead of 10 millimeter, it's a good indicator that you're going to have Gen 4 internals. So a lot of people call those the LS2 rods. That's going to have the thicker Gen 4 rods and the full floating pistons. So I think we've covered that in another video, but I don't know for sure, you know, if you guys have all seen that video. But if you have 10 millimeter valley bolts and 10 millimeter exhaust manifold bolts factory, then you got a Gen 3 motor with the smaller rod. So anyway, that's a representation of yanking those stupid tubes out, running a tap into the housing, and then having a very, very clean elimination of those stupid outlets for the heater hoses. So